if I want to call myself the reason. I think Erika's the reason. I think ultimately if it would have been for Erika being here, probably God wouldn't have got Charlie to nudge him to be here. But people were like, Charlie was going to be president someday. He believed firmly that Erika was going to be president someday. Erika and Charlie are one. Charlie is one with Erika. So it's such a natural fit. He had always looked up to Erika. He had always boosted Erika.
This just dropped, and it is messier than anyone saw coming. Erika Kirk stepped out in Las Vegas and made absolutely no attempt to be subtle about it. She walked straight up to Tyler Bowyer and embraced him in a way that sent a clear and deliberate signal to everyone watching. This was not a casual greeting between acquaintances. This was a public statement. And the statement being made is that Tyler Bowyer is being actively positioned as the next version of Charlie Kirk. Same energy, same platform, same orbit. Except this is the exact same Tyler Bowyer who was already deeply connected to an internal situation that Charlie himself had reportedly been investigating before everything suddenly went sideways. But before diving into why that Las Vegas moment carries the weight that it does, the full story needs to be laid out properly. Because the triangle that exists between Erika, Tyler, and Charlie did not appear out of nowhere. It was built piece by piece over years, and the construction of it raises questions that are getting louder by the day. Tyler's version of how everything started has always been presented as simple and clean.
She's faith-based. She's so centered on Christ. We've got to lean in and involve her here because we were starting the initial talks about Turning Point Faith or TPUSA Faith.
He claims that back in 2018, Erika randomly reached out to him completely on her own initiative, said she wanted to get involved politically, and that he simply helped connect her to the right spaces. He put her in proximity to Trump, gave her visibility in rooms that matter, and eventually introduced her to Charlie. Clean, simple, innocent. Except the moment you start stacking that version against everything else that has since come out. Now, the clean narrative starts developing serious cracks that do not hold up under pressure. Because Erika herself slipped, and not in a small, easily dismissed way.
Calls I got was from Erika. She's like, hey, I was Miss Arizona. I love Donald Trump. Can I be involved? I'm like, absolutely.
She referred to Tyler as a family friend. That one phrase changes the entire foundation of Tyler's version of events. You do not describe someone as a family friend when they are simply a political contact who responded to a cold outreach message in 2018. That is not the language people use for professional acquaintances. That is language that implies something deeper, longer, and far more personally connected than Tyler has ever publicly acknowledged. And that gap between what he says and what she accidentally revealed is sitting right at the center of every serious question being asked about this situation. But the role Tyler played goes even further than simply making an introduction and stepping back. He did not just connect them and walk away. He actively managed the interaction from the very beginning in ways that feel deliberate and calculated in hindsight. Reports indicate that Tyler literally sat Charlie down before their very first date and gave him a comprehensive coaching session.
And he had set up a date to go meet her at the gym. Because it's a fancier, nicer gym that's in the North Valley. And I took him over, I dropped him off there, and it was the whole car ride over that was pep talks. All right, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to say. Hey, if she says this, don't do that. And he's like, well, what do I do?
Telling him what to say, how to present himself, how to handle Erika specifically. Think about what that actually means. This was not a friend giving casual encouragement. This was someone with a specific interest in how that relationship developed, carefully shaping its foundation from day one. And it goes even further. Tyler has openly stated on record that he believed Charlie relocated to Arizona specifically because of Erika. And this was before the two had even properly established a real relationship.
I was today years old whenever I realized that Tyler Bowyer said that Charlie moved to Arizona for Erika, even though they haven't met yet.
That level of insider knowledge about someone's personal motivations and geographical decisions is not something you casually possess about a couple you simply introduced at some point. But then layer on top of that the completely contradictory origin stories that have surfaced about how Charlie and Erika even met in the first place. Because there are three distinctly different versions floating around, and they cannot all be true simultaneously. Charlie's version places the first meeting at a Turning Point office opening. Erika's primary version has Charlie sliding into her direct messages completely out of nowhere while she was in the Hamptons enjoying time away. Then there is yet another version she has offered where she claims she first spotted him in an airport during a trip with her mother. Three completely different settings, Three completely different circumstances, three completely different stories for the exact same supposed first meeting between two people.
So we had met through a family friend. He had invited me to the office opening for Turning Point USA.
When origin stories shift and contradict depending on who is telling them and when, it raises an unavoidable and deeply uncomfortable question. What else in this timeline has been constructed rather than simply remembered? Now, the part of this story that nobody with serious attention can continue to ignore: the money. And repeated and consistent claims have been surfacing from insiders with direct knowledge that millions of dollars went missing from accounts directly connected to Turning Point Action, which happens to be the precise side of the organization where Tyler Bowyer had the heaviest involvement and the deepest operational access.
I met Erika for the first time at this office, Turning Point USA office.
So we met at the office opening, the Turning Point headquarters office opening, the first one, August 2018, and I had no idea what to expect because I was coming into the office from the standpoint of they were potentially going to hire me.
I knew of Erika, I saw Erika, and we had a very brief meeting.
The number that keeps circulating through these insider accounts is not small, and it is not vague. People familiar with this situation keep landing on a figure in the region of $10 million. And the claim is that Charlie himself had begun raising this issue and asking serious questions about it before his death. The initial response from leadership was a flat denial. Nothing was missing. The accounts were clean. The case was closed before it was even properly opened. But then something shifted. The people who had been most loudly and confidently denying everything began quietly walking their statements back. And as those initial denials softened and started crumbling, insiders began stepping forward to confirm what the denials had been trying to suppress. That yes, there were genuine and significant financial discrepancies that had not been properly explained or accounted for. And the financial connections do not stop with the organization itself.
Standing there at the ticket line, and there was a guy who was checking out with the guy, you know what I'm talking about, get your ticket, check your bag. And I see him and I was like, I told my mom, I was like, that guy looks really familiar. And my mom was like, go say hi.
Erika's mother, Lori, was reportedly placed onto the board of a technology-related company tied directly into the same broader ecosystem, not through any transparent or publicly announced process, but simply placed there. And the detail that makes that placement even more significant is that Tyler already had an established prior relationship with Lori before any of this became public knowledge. The web of connections between these individuals keeps extending in directions that make the story of a simple political introduction in 2018 look increasingly inadequate as an explanation. Then came something that genuinely unsettled a significant number of people who had been closely following this situation: Tyler's public energy in the aftermath of Charlie's death.
I get a random DM on Instagram, and you never know, like, if these people are the real people or whatever. Anyway, so it was Charlie. It was in my DMs, and he was like, hey, I'm in New York. I want to sit down and talk to you about the Faith stuff. I have a Fox hit, total, like, name drop. I have a Fox hit to do out in the city, and then I need to meet with you afterwards.
Clips began resurfacing and circulating widely, showing Tyler speaking with what observers described as an unusual level of excitement and forward momentum, during a period when most people who genuinely knew and cared about Charlie were still visibly processing grief and shock. That energy felt profoundly off to a large number of people who watched those clips. Not the behavior of someone devastated by a loss, but the behavior of someone who sees a door that has just opened in front of them. So the question being asked is no longer simply how Erika and Tyler happen to know each other so well. The question that has taken over every serious conversation about this situation is far more pointed and far more uncomfortable. Who benefits from everything that happened after Charlie was gone?
I went to Justin Strife when there was communication between us two, the COO, and I specifically asked about that. I said, I heard this, and this person definitely knows Charlie, he knows Erika, and, is there any truth to this? They said, no, that's not true.
And that question leads directly back to Las Vegas and what that public moment actually represented. Erika did not ease into that appearance. She walked onto that stage and made an immediate and unmistakable move directly toward Tyler Bowyer. The reaction from people in that room was instant. Aunt Matt Wallace publicly voiced what many were thinking in real time. Is that who I think it is? Calling out the fact that she was openly embracing the man who went viral in the immediate aftermath of Charlie's death as Kirk 2.0. The heir apparent, the chosen successor. And now that same man is not just being talked about as a successor, he is actively running events alongside Erika and building public momentum in a way that looks anything but organic or spontaneous.
The reason why I'm bringing that up, and the reason why it's coming to my mind, is because Tyler Bowyer has a relationship with Lori. And Lori was put on the board of what's that company, whatever it's called, that collects data and nobody really kind of knows what it does. Was it like AZ Tech or something like that?
Some voices in Erika's corner have moved quickly to explain it away, suggesting she is simply an openly affectionate person by nature and that people project meaning onto every single thing she does. But others are reading this situation with a much more strategic and suspicious lens, arguing that this is not a random display of warmth, but a deliberate and carefully timed public alignment that signals something much larger is being organized and positioned behind the scenes. And the timing makes the skepticism even harder to dismiss.
Charlie Kirk is looking down at us right now, and he's really excited about all of the action that's happening right now. Really excited. He is so excited. The only thing is he wishes he was here to tell us exactly what to do. He liked doing that.
One commenter captured what many were feeling when they noted that the Erika and Tyler public moment was dominating news cycles at the exact same moment that Iranian drones were reportedly striking refineries in Kuwait, a genuinely significant geopolitical development with real economic consequences for ordinary people dealing with rising energy prices. The contrast between what was receiving wall-to-wall media attention and what was being quietly pushed aside felt deliberate to many observers. And that feeling of manufactured distraction has only deepened the suspicion surrounding every move being made in this space.
For today, and they've fired a lot of people, and a lot of people are speaking. And somebody who was within Turning Point USA confirmed to me that money was indeed missing out of Turning Point USA. I can back that up 100%, which is why I'm saying it publicly, that there were millions missing out of Turning Point USA. And they were wondering where that money was going.
Tyler Bowyer then escalated things considerably further by claiming he had access to private conversations with Charlie Kirk that he is now using to legitimize and back the idea of Erika stepping into a major power position. But here is the fundamental problem with that claim. These are conversations that no other living person can independently verify, confirm, or challenge.
Charlie told this individual that he was establishing Doge because $10 million was missing. Okay.
And Tyler did not make this claim once in a single interview and let it stand on its own. He went on multiple platforms and multiple news programs after Charlie's death, repeatedly and consistently pushing the narrative that Erika for president was not some wild external idea, but something Charlie himself had genuinely wanted and personally endorsed. Then Candace Owens entered the conversation and did not hold back for a single second. She publicly and directly mocked Tyler for what she described as lying to everyone with a straight face, and then went further by calling him out specifically over his connections to Romania, connections he had never prominently disclosed or discussed publicly.
He had always looked up to Erika. He had always boosted Erika. Everyone always said Charlie would be president. Charlie always said that Erika would be president. So, we have the person that Charlie believed in and loved the most in this world.
She accused him directly of gaslighting people, of carefully performing the image of a straightforward good guy while something considerably more complicated was operating behind that performance and behind the scenes. Tyler's response was to brush the entire thing aside, explaining that he studied Romanian simply as a compliment to his Russian language studies and suggesting that not every connection or coincidence carries conspiratorial weight. But Candace was not accepting that explanation and made no effort to pretend otherwise. And her willingness to call it out publicly, despite the social and political costs of doing so, has given significant weight to the question she was raising.
Do you see politics in her future down the road?
Yeah, it's funny. I had conversations with Charlie about that. So he was like, man, Erika could be so much bigger and better than me at almost everything. We laugh all the time about it because people were like, Charlie was going to be president someday. He believed firmly that Erika was going to be president someday.
One particularly sharp observation began circulating widely and gaining serious traction. Tyler installed Erika, Erika protects Tyler, Tyler promotes Erika, and they both have each other's back in ways that go far deeper than any simple political alliance. The further claim attached to this observation is that both of them know far more about what happened to Charlie Kirk than either has publicly acknowledged.
A person sent me a recent conversation that they had on social media with Tyler, because he gets a little snippy on social media, gaslights people, pretends he's a good guy. And this is his excuse for why he was in Romania in 2010. It's good to see it.
But that neither possesses the independent capability to have orchestrated something of that complexity and scale on their own, which creates its own deeply uncomfortable set of implications about who else might be involved. If Erika is now publicly and visibly standing next to Tyler, backing him, building with him, sharing stages with him, and lending him her platform and credibility, then this moment stops being simply about who is stepping up to fill a political vacuum. The real question becomes why him specifically.
The days leading up, Erika said she stayed back because Charlie said home needs you. That's why she didn't go to the September 10th event. They were just on a tour. Charlie was just every day telling people that family's the most important thing, but privately, when he sat down with Tyler Bowyer, he was like, Erika's gonna be president.
Out of every person available in that entire political ecosystem, why is the one individual most closely and directly connected to the outstanding financial questions now the person moving with the most speed and the most deliberate visibility into the closest possible position of power and influence alongside Erika?
Is just ironic that you happened to go right when the military base got set up and when Dennis Franzpe was there. I don't buy that. And I got interested because I said a Romanian program. That sounds unique. Does Arizona State University have a Romanian program? And they do, and the history of it.
Because when you step back and look at the full picture, the managed introduction, the coaching sessions, the family-friend language, the financial discrepancies, the suspicious post-death energy, the unverifiable private conversations, the Romania connections, the public Las Vegas alignment, this stops looking like a series of coincidences stacking up against each other. It starts looking like a direction that was being quietly and carefully pushed toward long before anyone in the public was supposed to notice. And if that reading is correct, then what happened in Las Vegas was not random at all. It was a signal that whatever has been building behind the scenes is now moving into its next visible phase.